Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Crafting and Crime Daily. I'm your host, Rebecca, and today I have a true crime story for you. True crime, so true that the perpetrator, who was found guilty and sentenced to the death penalty, is set to be executed tomorrow. His name is Taberon Honie. He is a native of the Hopi tribe up in Utah, but he's been on death row for 25 years. Yeah. Stay tuned. I'm going to tell you all about what this man did. So, hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Tuesday and there's no trials going on. I'm hoping it's because there's some jury selections happening somewhere. Somehow I know Don Adelson's trial is coming up, and boy, that's going to be a good one. I'm going to have to do a preview of that one and a who's who and a what's what, because this will be how many trials have we sat through? 1, 2, 3, 4 trials. Donna Adelson will be the 5th trial, all related to the murder of Dan Markell, FSU law professor. Yeah, out of Tallahassee. All right, let's talk about today's story. Taberon Honie. He's 48 years old now. At the time of the murder that he committed, he was 22 years old. He had been dating this girl named Carol. I'm going to butcher the last name. Pikievit since 1995. And now we're getting into 1998. He breaks up with her, or they break up. But they've had a child together. They have a little child together, little girl. And he starts dating a woman named, where is the name? I wrote it down. Sonia, I think. So it's not relevant to the story. Anyway, he starts dating another woman. So unfortunately, and this is what I've learned through my research, that Mr. Honie had a very traumatic and violent childhood and was an alcoholic. And on the morning of July 9th of 1998, he proceeded to get drunk. 2 18 packs of beer, some marijuana, and he calls Carol up that evening and he's saying, I'd like to meet with you at Sonia's house, the girlfriend's house. And she's like, no, I'm on my way to work. I'm not meeting with you. So he is angry, like really angry. And he's telling her, if you don't meet with me, then I'm going to go over your mom's house, Claudia Ben's house, and I'm going to kill her, and I'm going to kill your sister and her children. And then I'm going to take our child and get sole custody, and you'll never see him again. And she's like, yeah. Okay. Because he had done this. He had threatened this a few times before. He had threatened to kill her several times. And, she said he would sober up and then that would be the end of it. But he calls her twice more that evening, threatening her again. Then at about 10:20, 10:30-ish, Carol leaves to go to work. But she goes over to her mom's house, Claudia Ben's house, and she picks up her sister, Benita. I guess they worked at the same place. Mom's going to watch all the kids. Benita had 2 children and Carol had 1 with Taberon. So Benita and Carol, they're all dressed and ready for bed when they leave, and they proceed to leave and go to work. So then about 11:20 p.m., we know that a taxi driver picks up Taberon and drops him off at an apartment complex not far from Carol Ben's home. Then about an hour later, just shortly after midnight on the 9th or the 10th, I don't know if it was the 9th going into the 10th. Anyway, so I suspect it was the 10th. So anyway, whatever, not germane to the story. The neighbors call 911, several neighbors, because they hear this horrible commotion going on, this terrible disturbance going on at their neighbor's house, Carol Ben's house. So the police get there, and of course, they do what they do. They surround the house, and they find this door in the rear, this sliding glass door has been smashed in, and the glass has been removed such that someone could get in. So now they're like, come out with your hands up, that kind of thing. So who comes out but Taberon Honie comes out through the garage, blood all over him, and they're like, "What happened?" And he's like, "Oh, I killed Claudia. I stabbed her." So of course they arrest him. So as it turns out, he goes over there and after they take him into custody. And this is all he would ever admit to, but he did a whole lot more in that house. Oh my God. They said there was blood everywhere. When they go in, after they get him in custody, they go in and they find Carol's mother, Claudia, lying face down on the living room floor. She's dead, partially nude, and has been stabbed. Her throat has been slashed. She's been stabbed like 3 times in the back. The medical examiner testified that there were stab wounds inside of her vagina, like horrendous stab wounds, like penetrating into the abdomen. I mean, I can't even imagine what this woman went through. And the medical examiner was not able to say if this happened before she died, after she, we don't know. But she had her phone in her left hand, and there was a large kitchen knife found near her body. But what else did they find in the home? The 3 grandchildren. Yes. 2 of them were girls. I don't know. They might have all 3 been girls. I just know that I've identified 2 as being female. And they've obviously encountered her because they've got blood on them. So the one little girl, Benita's daughter, is dripping blood from her genital area. And they find out that this is her blood, not her grandma's blood. This is her blood. And he would never admit to this, but apparently, well, not to the police anyway, and not in court, but to a psychologist, he admitted that he digitally penetrated the young child. Now, I don't know how young this child was, but traumatic for her nonetheless. I mean, how horrible. Absolutely horrible. So he comes in and he does not want a jury trial, waives the right to a jury trial. So the trial judge finds him, he adjudicates him guilty after hearing, his confession, and sentences him to the death penalty. So that's where we are at. So tomorrow he is scheduled to be executed. Now, at first, there are only 7 inmates on death row in Utah. They haven't had an execution since 2010. And the last execution there was Ronnie Lee Gardner, and they used a firing squad. So this time around, they're going to use a lethal injection. So what they said was they were going to use a combination of 3 drugs. And now this has never been done in any death penalty execution. This was going to be a first. They were going to use ketamine, fentanyl, and potassium chloride. First, they would inject the ketamine, which the attorneys for Mr. Taberon, Mr. Honie, were arguing would cause psychological torture. We've talked about ketamine before. First of all, it can depress your respirations. It can cause you to hallucinate. Just really wild things can happen when you're on ketamine. Then, but we know from that paramedic case, you administer ketamine, you better be protecting that airway. Then they will administer fentanyl, which also causes, according to his attorneys, painful suffocation. Which I was going to have a comment there. I'm just going to leave that comment out. Anyway, painful suffocation, followed by potassium chloride, which is also very, very painful. And that's potassium chloride will just cause you to have a heart attack. It'll cause an arrhythmia, and then it'll cause you to go into cardiac arrest. But they call that liquid fire. That is very, very painful. So this has never been done. So once his attorneys argued all this, the state of Utah said, okay, we're just going to go with pentobarbital, which is also very painful, but probably, I don't know, it's been done in many other states, pentobarbital. So that's how he is scheduled to die in the electric chair. They don't use the electric chair anymore, do they? I found an alternative to all of this stuff. Take a look at this device I found during my research. It's going to be tested over in Switzerland. Take a look.
But the makers are undeterred. They plan to launch the suicide pod in Switzerland. Here's a report.
This is Sarko, the Tesla of euthanasia. At least that's what it's been dubbed, because this is a suicide pod. In crass but simpler terms, it's a portable machine to kill oneself. This is a futuristic-looking 3D printed machine. It was first unveiled in 2019. Ever since then, it has been mired in controversy, and expectedly so. But now the drama has reached new heights, because for the first time, it will be open to use.
That releases.
You can use it for $20. For $20, we could just put him in it, shut the door. We have control over the button, not the patient. So apparently the way this works is it's a real thing. And Switzerland has legal assisted suicide. Apparently suicide vacations are quite common in Switzerland, because all you have to do is certify that you're dying and that you've got a non-involved caregiver, somebody with no dog in the fight, I guess, caregiver that's going to administer the drug to help you die in Switzerland. So this is where they're going to try out this thing. And you get in and you close the door, but first they'll ask you a series of questions, to make sure you're oriented, that you're consenting, that this is what you want, and blah, blah, blah. And then when you're ready, you just press a button and nitrogen fills this thing. And when nitrogen goes in, the oxygen goes out and you die. Now, to me, that would be painful suffocation. I could not watch that. Oh my God. They said it takes about 5 minutes. So it's definitely suffocation, but that's horrible. And once you've pressed that button, you cannot change your mind. But if it's only $20, let's get it. We could just have like a traveling one that could go from state to state. Am I off base here? Let me just say this, though. Whatever way this man dies tomorrow, it will be nothing in comparison to what he did to Claudia Ben. And I will just leave it at that. So let me know what you guys are up to today. Let me know that you watched. Leave me a comment, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.